Thanks, Dan. Dan forgot to
words to the podcast.
Dan forgot to unmute us, so we've just been talking as though people were listening for 20 minutes.
Dan's
I said hi, Allison, and she didn't get to hear me.
Is she here?
I'm told.
Oh, well, hi, Allison.
You don't even know who Allison is.
No, I don't, but I can still say hi.
Dan's friendly to everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Everyone's interchangeable in Dan's mind. I could not be here, and he wouldn't even notice.
All people are the same.
I sent Dan 70 messages before he realized I was at his door.
Yep, Dan doesn't care about anyone.
Okay, you sent 70 messages in like a second.
I sent those over the course of 5 minutes. I knocked and then immediately started sending messages for 5 minutes, and then I knocked again.
Okay, I heard the second knock.
Because my thought process was, surely he'll see one of these, and then you didn't.
I was doing stuff.
Who are you going to bring on first?
Luke.
Okay. Ben, your face is gone by.
Luke knows more
Ben,
fighting
watch.
words.
Come here. I'll show you a little Photoshop.
Thanks for the retweet, Luke. Did you get the goodie bag in comments yesterday? 2 days ago or whatever?
It's terrible, don't.
No, it's not that. They have coupons for these.
Oh, that's true.
The Pacha meme where you go
They're $1 off each. Only at Walmart.
I went to my faces on there, and I was gonna be like, yeah.
It's not gonna be for a while.
Oh,
Thank you.
It's not gonna be for like 20 minutes.
when does it start?
9.
Who was reading Ready
okay.
Player One?
Dan does for a class.
Yeah. What class are you reading that for?
Impact of virtual worlds and something.
What a grossly appropriate book for that class.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it, but I really liked reading it.
I'm excited to have an excuse to read it.
It was good.
What'd you buy? You could have just borrowed mine.
Yeah, well, I guess we
You
have
could
no
have
copy.
borrowed mine.
Benny,
I read this book twice.
Hey, I have my own copy now. It was like $3.
What'd you buy it for $3? I bought it for like 20.
Really?
Yeah, well, I bought it at a bookstore.
Oh, okay.
I got mine in a loot crate like a year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel cheated.
That's what came with one of my crates. I remember getting that one. I read it because of that.
Speaking of which, mine's still at Matt's house.
Dan, do you want to play Dark Souls tonight?
That could be good.
Assuming this only goes on for an hour, I should be home by 11 if I...
Let's play.
You also said the last one would go on for an hour, and you did it till like 11.
Well, yeah, but I
don't make
didn't have any point of
reservations
reference.
you can't keep. You forget we have plans tonight.
What's
Is
the plans?
Is it the Nutshag? What is it? I don't remember.
Dan.
Yeah?
I sent you the images.
Oh, thank you.
Did you draw me with a beard too?
There we go.
Not Shaq, babe.
Thank you, Ella. These look great.
Hold on. I need to make a contingency
Benny gets a
picture.
Brock eyes.
No, I look like the Pacha.
Wildly
The
appropriate.
Pacha meme.
You do kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? And I was like, oh god.
I need to make a contingency.
I'm glad I'm
picture.
angry. Out of
Okay.
everyone, I'm the angry.
You're not angry because you don't have the mean eyes.
Picture.
It's the
You
competitive.
just have mad mouth.
And eyes. I have eyebrows. You guys have like happy-go-lucky
I
eyebrows.
have
Mine are,
eyebrow.
mine are tilted.
What? Dude,
Yours
that's 'cause you're
are...
in the game.
Yours are
Yeah, like you, Luke.
Shut up! I weren't saying that about anything.
I mean, if these were accurate, I would be squinting like 80 degrees, so...
Yeah, I hate that, man. I squint all
Did I
the time.
squint?
I-
Fuck
know
you
that.
too,
Yeah.
Luke.
Get out of here. You're a little bitch. Where is the...
Casey, can you try to open your goddamn eyes once in your life?
You know I tried, and that's why I can't wear contacts. I can't open my eyes that wide. I figured it out, Dan. I literally can't open my eyes wide enough to put contacts in.
Really?
Yeah, like they just don't open that far.
Huh.
We'll have to like all watch you put them in.
Oh, wait.
I-
Tell you
like-
exactly why you're
Exact
doing it
opposite
wrong.
of what
Like, even when I do, like, that's not enough.
Well, it's because you're not actually grabbing your eyelid.
Yeah, even doing that, like...
That's plenty. We'll have to like Clockwork Orange you and put them in for you.
God. I could do that.
No, but please. I'll just wear glasses for the rest of my life, it's fine. These Harambe memes are going too far. That was one of the words I banned, by the way.
What?
Yes.
Harambe.
I'm very glad you did.
I was just like, I'm just not dealing
Would
with
you,
it.
wait, can't you change it? Say something else?
Ban
What?
Hotline Miami too.
Why?
What do you mean?
I'm pretty sure you can make it say somebody else.
Oh,
if
like
they type
if they type
Harambe-
Harambe, I can make them say, like, Michael Jackson or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's easier to just ban it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to... Actually, no. Let's replace Harambe with Dan. So if people come in the chat spamming, they just say dicks out for Dan.
Dicks out for Dan, man.
Dan died for your sins.
Where are you going, bud?
Here.
You want to say?
Oh. You were like, I'm leaving. I'm like, where's he going?
Here.
Okay. On my bed?
Go to hookah with Don.
Yeah, you can go to hookah with Don. He's always there.
He was there when I drove by.
We were yelling at him from the car.
Except he couldn't hear us. Because Don's deaf.
Yeah.
Actually, having Don on this
'Cause he's
podcast might
literally
be hard. Might actually be tough.
We were
Yeah.
making fun of him so much, dude. I was like flipping him off, and I was just like...
And he couldn't hear us
What was
because
I
we were
saying?
too far away. He couldn't hear you flipping him
I
off.
was like, what you gonna do? That's what it was.
And he was just like, what?
I
And
just
you're like,
started,
what you gonna do? And he's like, I can't hear.
I just started yelling a bunch of other stuff that
And
made
then
me
you're
sound
like,
an idiot.
go on, you dumb, stupid
That's
animal. And then he was just like, fine. And then just like looked at his phone and ran
I was
off.
like, go, and then I just like turned it into the go on, you stupid animal, get out of here. I want to see you again. It's like when I said go, it sounded like I was sad, so I just turned it into that. God, how am I just meet Don after
Are you-
who good just yell at him?
Are you playing the music, Dan?
Oh no, I'm about to.
Dan.
Which one are we playing?
Alex's
That one.
Wait, Alex's theme?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, play Jazzy NYC actually.
That's
Just
what
type
I
in
said.
Jazzy NYC.
Jazzy
Dan,
NYC.
No, 'cause
I
they
gave
play
you a
singing
contingency
S5.
picture.
Okay.
Jazzy NYC is what it's
I
called.
gotta see his picture.
Boom.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
I don't know what this song is, so I'm just gonna
Luke's here.
hope it's not terrible or whatever.
Jazzy NYC? It's like the best thing in the whole thing.
Fig Ting
Digging?
Lounge?
Fig Ting?
That's fighting.
Fig Ting?
Fig Ting Lounge?
God damn it.
Forgot the H. I would agree with you, but you definitely forgot the H.
Change it to Rough House because it's the same number of syllables and starts with
Rough
R.
House Lounge?
Can we put this up and say
Fisticuffs.
them's fig ting words?
No.
I kind of want to say yes.
Alright, Jazzy NYC 99.
Luke loves 15.
No, you can't
Well,
hear it.
because then it would reverb through the mic, but 15
Yeah.
seconds late, and it would just be horrible.
But Jazzy NYC is so good.
Oh my god! I have literally 5 or 6 different versions of that one.
Yeah, I have a bunch, man. I love that song.
You know what I hate? Oh, this glass bottle is super thick, so there's not as much drink in there as it used to be.
I've dropped and broken before from like a 2-foot drop though. I've been pretty
Yeah.
as sick as these things are.
God, I hate fucking Starbucks. I'm sorry, Starbucks. Please give us money.
Don't give us money, please.
No, I don't want to be associated with this.
Yeah,
You know
I
what,
wanna
I'm-
be associated with Starbucks.
You know what?
Just
Second
don't
thought,
fight
you
Starbucks.
You
Yeah.
have the voice of an afternoon radio announcer.
Thank you.
That's why we have a podcast.
It's
here
literally
comes
just
Jazzy
Dan's voice
NYC.
that sells it.
It's great. I give us an air of authenticity.
Why did you like how we're
Professionality.
Speaking of, an
Oh
old,
no,
an
it's,
old,
it's Casey's
Oh,
copy.
is that Dan's?
No, it's
What?
Casey's.
Oh, that's Casey's Cowboy Bebop. I was
Yeah.
like,
oh,
wait.
yeah.
Also, it's there if you want it.
Fucking watch it, Dan. I'm tired.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Watch it, man.
Have you not seen Cowboy Bebop?
No, I've seen Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay, you're freaking me out, man. I'm like, out of all the things you've seen, you have not seen Cowboy Bebop.
I've seen Cowboy Bebop. I just haven't. I haven't watched it to
Oh, there's
completion
Cowboy
since
Bebop.
I
Good
was.
old boy cowboy never.
Yeah, no, it didn't
No, but
work.
forget that pizza in your car. I don't know why I've been bombarding me with that.
Pizza?
You don't love the pizza.
Are you taking
Um,
it? I don't care. Yeah, then you're taking it.
So, an old buddy, old pal of mine, said that he might do a piece on us for the newspaper.
Oh, that'd be cool. Rough House Lounge. I like it.
I told you.
You did. It was 30 seconds.
Thank you, George.
No,
you,
they
Adam,
can't
for
find
drawing.
them.
I'm shaking my head.
Okay, so we got 4 pictures to cycle through now. We're gonna have a nice collage. Dude, so speaking of Dan, do you want to do this in like seasons? Like I don't want to do this literally every week. We need breaks sometimes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
What do you want to do? Like 12 episode seasons or 26, or do you want to follow that format at all?
12.
We can do like
Go on
8.
winter break.
Yeah, I mean we can just do it over the semester, take winter break off, and do it next semester, and then follow that.
With shiny
Yeah, that'd be good.
visuals.
Super Respawn Lounge. The full Respawn Lounge.
Respawn Lounge Director's Cut. Smile.
Yeah.
Respawn Lounge
Final mix.
Final mix.
2.5.
Are we Kingdom Hearts now?
Yeah.
We will avoid
Kingdom Hearts
3
boys.
like the plague.
Oh yeah, Dan, I added some things to our itinerary. Do you want to
Yeah.
look at those?
Sure.
I'll bring it up for you. I already have it up.
No, you should have just
gone home without
Wait,
showing
you
name.
guys have ads already?
What? I guess so.
No, it always has ads.
It's so weird.
I know, it's
That's annoying.
awful. The last two I added.
Who's
That's why it
Oh,
just says
Dan.
advertising and not this.
Okay.
advertising.
Oh, that's
we need to
Johnny.
do the website.
I don't know who you got served was.
Wait, what?
Website
What?
that widget up.
Which John?
Is our
His
Twitch
friend?
stream up.
Oh, yeah.
No, Ruby
Oh, I
150 is
forgot to
not
do
coming.
that. Yeah.
It's not?
No, that's Zach.
It should
Oh.
be like
You've
way
got
back
me
in,
excited.
Hi, Zach.
in our chat history.
Okay, Zach.
Yeah.
You got me excited for a minute. I was like, oh, here
Um,
comes the blow up.
Oh,
What's
I
the
actually
one-
can't go back that far. Or
When
that
Berserk
far.
Warriors comes out, we'll do that. And then I've got the Final Fantasy one I want to do.
Oh, you want me to argue on that one?
Darn, I forgot
No,
to.
this one.
Oh.
What?
Forgot
No,
to do
the
it.
Christian mythology in games because I
I
love
mean,
Devil May Cry.
you can, I guess.
Nah.
Oh, dude. if you
I honestly thought that said Darkstalkers. That's I was like, what?
Darkstar? I mean,
Darksiders.
Is
Yeah.
there
don't-
like a specific just Metal Gear one? Or,
I mean, there can be.
dude, if you do that,
There's one.
I want to do the Metal Gear one when the definitive edition of 5 comes out. Which I'm not going to buy because I already own both of those games and I already
Yeah.
have all the DLC, so whatever.
I was gonna say I don't have them, but I actually do have Ground Zeroes. Thank God, basically it's plus.
We
I
did
mean-
play Guilty Gear, by the way.
What?
We did play some Guilty Gear.
So
Okay, cool.
ask him about bacon.
Thought it was the girl from Outlaw Star. She looks like the samurai girl from Outlaw Star. Also, I hate Guilty Gear now
What?
because I played Bacon against Bacon.
Oh, wait. So why do you hate bacon?
Do you not remember it? Oh, we'll play right now. I'll show you why you want
Okay,
to
like you were going like hard with it.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay,
I wasn't-
okay.
I was like Casey,
Because
if you
because the match was I moved at all and then I just got cornered and then smashed to bits. At least on the other matches I could pretend I knew how to play.
All right, Dan. Floorboards everywhere.
Wait, so do you hate Guilty Gear?
I hate Bacon.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't really. You got to play a little bit, but it was like mostly me being a douche.
Okay.
Because I was like,
Reinforcing my opinion of fighting
I'll be
games.
100%. I was like, there's no way you're gonna learn this in like less than 15 minutes because
Well, I
this
didn't-
is the hardest one. I forgot in X2 though, how comboing is so easy.
Yeah.
Like get counter in the air and they fall. Well, that actually is an exit. I always forget that, but like I don't know, it was just so easy to combo. I was like, this is kind of stupid. And
Yeah, I mean, like I basically just like pressed buttons at almost random and did okay.
yeah, I mean, because like
The
if
best
you,
I have
if,
is just understanding spacing.
if you get a counter hit in the air, then I fall and you can just hit whatever and you'll hit me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what was happening a lot. Is that like I was
Yeah.
when I was playing Johnny was the thing. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
a lot of them.
Playing
Well, because like I can play fighting games insofar that I understand spacing
Yeah.
from Dark Souls PvP.
And
Which is
melee.
about all I've got. And
Yeah.
melee, yeah.
Yeah, freaking Marth.
Don't say that actually, guys.
I love Marth. I
That's
love
That's why I
Marth.
don't play
Oh
Marth.
yeah,
Easy.
that game is not to be discussed.
We're not talking about
For
melee
me.
this week. We're only talking about 2 fighting games anyway.
Oh, which ones?
King of Fighters and Street Fighter. Oh yeah, let me show you this.
I thought it was 3 because I thought that was the reason you played Guilty Gear.
We're going to talk about those two.
We're talking about Guilty Gear because that was
Technically
one of the
4.
games that we
Technically 4.
Well,
because we do the 2 games that we tell each other to play every week, and those aren't Street Fighter or
All right. I can't wait to talk about what I was talking about earlier.
okay.
That's still been in my head all day.
Fine.
That was.
We were talking about fighting games, and I was like, hold on, save this for the podcast.
I was,
Okay,
I
okay.
was like literally about to explode because I was like, I get to explain this right now, and he was just like, wait, we gotta wait. I was like, no.
Please.
So this is what these I took some notes,
Awesome.
mostly obvious shit, but
I accidentally closed the music.
You might want to watch that right there.
why is it not?
That's gonna start an argument. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. The community is so split on which one is. So
Okay, fine. I just
Wait,
won't say it.
which one? Or
I said Third Strike is considered the best variation of the franchise by a lot of people.
Oh, okay. That's gonna be an argument.
yeah, don't.
That okay, but that's what Luke told me. Which is
Oh,
why I assumed
it is, but
Yeah.
But the other
it's
Okay.
still gonna start an argument.
I'll just take it out. Whatever.
Because there's a guy that plays at Arcade Legacy that
And
plays
you
only.
to the
He wins.
channel.
He wins
Yeah.
a lot of the Third Strike tournaments.
Do you
on
want
weeks
to
that-
send this to some of the arcade people if
I mean, I can. It's just gonna be
you want to?
I don't know if you're going to
Oh,
tune
every-
in, but I told my Joker group about it.
It's Thursday. I would, but
Oh.
it's
I
Thursday.
would, but my
Is it Luke?
It's fight night.
Is it Luke?
I was like, if I send them it, everyone's gonna not be here. Harambe. It doesn't work.
Oh no, our filter doesn't work.
You have to say it 3 times in a row while in the zoo at night. That's actually fucking hilarious.
You got served.
Dan, go check our banned words, and then say them all out loud.
No, I don't think that's how it
You
works.
go to the band words. You know how to bring it up. Okay, go send. You have to go to like your channel.
You just woke up in a different universe. Your birthday month will determine what universe you woke up
There we
in.
go, settings.
I think it's
I like how these range from Grand Theft Auto to SpongeBob.
Let's go.
channel and video.
Jordan, your birthday's in December, right?
Yeah, sure.
Star Wars?
Oh, here we go.
Good. It's actually not
This is the
super
issue. Wait, I think?
RuneScape.
Fuck, I'm
No, I don't think
really
that changes
playing
that. Like, save, you just go and save it anyway.
Well,
Okay.
get wrecked.
I don't want to
You
cry.
want to come to the Wildy? I'll guild your armor.
Go
You
buy
should
a
say
girlfriend.
it.
Luke, when's your birthday?
I'll be your word.
I
No,
love
birthday?
how we set up the filter to stay on Harambe now.
Zelda.
It's an action part.
What?
Ah,
Someone outside's having a great time. Huh, I guess our filter doesn't work.
I forgot I'm subscribed to him. I was like, wait, I gotta
Nice
post
and
this.
way away.
Oh god. I forgot I'm subscribed to him on Twitch. I was like, I have to post this. You see that?
Now I can't tell
Here, I'll show you.
Benny, when's your birthday?
July.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh god, I'm fucked already.
Oh, this is for the Harami one.
Dan, your birthday's in July, right?
June 29th.
Oh, we're both in DC Comics.
Have fun with that.
What?
What's mine?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes.
no, we're in the gritty universe.
Why didn't that post?
Oh no. Anna, when's your birthday? Gravity Falls.
Wow.
RuneScape's a fighting game, right? Yes.
That's
Yes.
the best part about
Who's you got served? I don't know who that is.
I'm not sure, actually.
They were in here last time too. Benny, is your mom watching?
Yes, but she's not. You got served.
Did your mom
she-
serve us?
Did your mom serve us? Also, does she have a Twitch account? Tyler, make a Twitch account so she can talk in the chat.
It's not.
You literally just said it. She's watching him on TV.
But
Oh, I forgot. Is Jazzy NYC still playing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Is that a
accidentally,
flash
I accidentally,
Yeah. Did you not know that? Did you not figure that out?
I thought it was, but it looks so.
Oh, do you have it set on replay?
Jazzy
Oh, also
NYC
it's 9
just
o'clock.
ended, I guess?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you.
Okay. It ends, like, with a minute left of the song?
No.
Anyway,
Anyway.
Alright.
okay, let's get moving. Do you have all the everything's ready, Dan?
Yeah.
Alright, so should we all be quiet?
Yeah, everyone quiet for a little bit while we do this introduction here. Welcome everyone to Respawn Lounge on the date of September 1st, 2016. I'm your host, Casey Moore, and with me today in the lounge is
Daniel Kemper.
Luke Spradlin.
Benny Marsh.
Benny. You should come over here so you don't have to yell on the mic.
Okay.
Okay. Last week we talked about art games, something I'm relatively knowledgeable about. So this week we're going to ruin any credibility you may think I have as we talk about the wonderful world of fighting games. I play a lot of games, but if there's anything I don't know about, it's fighting games. The first I played that wouldn't get me made fun of by, like Naruto or One Piece fighting games or whatever, was Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which I played in, I think, like 2011 in high school. I didn't play my first Street Fighter game until Luke here made a joke of me in Street Fighter 4 like 2 years ago. Dan, what experience do you have with fighting games?
My first fighting game was Street Fighter 2, and I played it at my barber shop. He had an arcade quarter machine cabinet, and I spent way too much money playing Street Fighter 2, and I was never any good at it. I loved Blanca, but I just couldn't do a thing. I was like 8.
Hey man, you pick Blanca, you mash punch, you're good to go.
Yeah,
And
man.
that's all you gotta do. That's how I played.
Okay, so we're gonna move right along to introducing our guests, so you know who they are before they chime in. First off, we have Luke Spradlin, who you may know as HipX5 or HipX55 or some such
HipX,
variation. HipX, one of them. He's the fighting game savant of Northern Kentucky University. Do you want to tell him how we met, Luke?
Because this guy was staring at my computer screen when I had a JoJo's
First day of college,
first day
3
of
years
college.
ago.
We were at a class and he was staring at my computer screen, saw my JoJo's background, went, "Oh wow, that's really cool. I like that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, man, do you watch JoJo's?" He's like, "No," and then looks away and stops talking to me the rest of the time.
Then I don't talk to him again for like 6 months.
It was great.
Now to carry on from that, the reason I knew about JoJo was actually because of our other guest today, who is my friend Benny Marsh.
Hey, yo.
There he is. Why don't we talk about how we met, Benny?
The first time we met was when we were in middle school. and I forget the exact circumstances, but I know that I was
We
with some
we
kids.
were at a park.
Yeah, we were at a park, and somehow you found out I was talking about Dragon Ball Z or something, and you called a guy and had me scream Kakarot into his phone.
Yeah, because it was like a Broly impersonation. I just thought it was amazing because I was 11 and stupid.
Oh,
So yeah, we go 10 years back. Okay, so before we get rolling into our discussion, this past week, Dan and I, as per our norm, challenged each other to play this week some fighting games. And judging by our choices, I think fighting games is used loosely in this case.
Okay.
So we'll start with Dan.
What you had me play?
Yeah, but let me preface. When we say fighting games, we mean a very, very broad spectrum. Just so no arguments come out of this. If we're not going to talk about what is and isn't a fighting game. We're just going to assume that everyone knows what we're talking about, and we'll have this discussion another day. So go on, Dan.
So I believe the full title is Naruto Ninja Storm 2.
No. Naruto Clash of Ninja 2.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
For the
Clash of
Nintendo
Ninja
GameCube
2.
from
Yeah.
2003, I believe. Mm-hmm. We played a little bit, Dan. I believe I'm better than you at fighting games. I won 8-2.
8-2.
Yeah, I beat you 8 times. Beat you with every character in the game.
You beat me with every character in the game.
Well, okay, all the starting ones because we didn't have an unlocked save file.
I was gonna say there's way more than 8 in that game.
So what did you think, Dan, of my golden experience of my youthful fighting games?
I thought it was terrible.
Well, fuck you, Dan.
Good. I'm proud of you, Dan.
What? Okay. What did you not like about it, Dan? Other than it was Naruto.
So the style of game that it is, I just think isn't very fun. It's very, very, very simple. Mm-hmm. For example, Naruto's basic combo is B, 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 B.
But you can throw the kunai too.
Yeah, you can hit A instead of B at one point, and you will throw kunai instead of punching.
And
It's
then-
a very deep,
And then you
complicated
punch
system.
again.
Yeah, it does the exact same thing.
But don't forget that you can play as Rock Lee, do your down special twice, get infinite meter charge that carries over into the next round no matter who wins, and then you just
Yeah.
do his normal combo, and then as they fall, you do your special, and then you kill them from full health.
Or you just use special because it does 80% damage and goes through block.
Yeah, well,
It's all supers in this game are grab supers.
at least. Never mind. We'll talk about my game now, Dan. I don't. It's just gonna upset me while you bash my favorite childhood fighting game.
I'm sorry, Casey. I respect your opinion, but I just hate that game.
It's fine. I don't like it either. It's just the best I had. So the game that I was, and you're gonna have to remind me what the title was, but it was Guilty Gear.
X2 # reload.
Yeah, which I actually only played like 2 hours ago, because no matter what we did, I just couldn't get a hold of it.
Yeah, that was weird.
Dan gave me a flash drive that had it on it, and then it didn't. So I'm not sure what happened exactly. So I had Luke here come bring his laptop, and we set up his good old games account, and we played it there for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Casey, tell me about your experience with Guilty Gear.
Holy fuck, I hate it. I don't hate the game. So what happened was Luke is much he's a little better than me at fighting games.
Little bit?
I'd give him the edge. It's like 55-45.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I'm sure.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
very,
yeah,
very
yeah.
close.
But he played as some character who it just looked like the woman swordsman from Outlaw Star,
Bacon.
Bacon, and then he just threw boards at me for like 3 minutes straight, and I just got stuck in a corner and I couldn't play the damn game. So I hate it because that's the only impression I have.
Oh, who did you play as when you played?
I played. We did a few rounds. I played Soul Bad
I'm gonna
Guy.
pause you guys. I just got confirmed the stream's down.
Yep. I was like trying to bring it up on here was why I was messing with my phone. We might not have been talking this last 30 minutes or whatever.
fantastic.
Well, that's okay. We're recording it.
Replay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just gonna keep going anyway because it'll be up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to try to go live again right now or just keep going?
I mean, it'll come back up when it comes back up.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So yeah.
tell us about it. Tell us about it.
So we were. I played a few characters. I played Girl with Anchor.
Oh, yeah. She's great.
I played. Who else did I play, Luke? I played Soul Bad Guy.
Played Soul Bad Guy. You played Chip Zanuck.
Played
Zanuck.
Yeah, sure.
President of the United States
President
on
of the
meth.
United States of America.
On meth.
Sure.
Played Bridget.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bridget's great.
I played Bridget, who I was told after the fact was a guy. That's fine. I won't judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that much about fighting games. I'm not the person to ask to judge a fighting game. I didn't really have a great time, but I wasn't going to anyway, and I knew it. So whatever. That's not why I'm here today. So let's move on to our guests to give them a little bit of background. Since it's going to be longer to ask Luke, let's start with Benny. What's your experience with fighting games?
I've always played fighting games very casually through most of my life, but I didn't really start getting to them technically, like, competitively until around high school, when I started to actually try to learn combos and characters and stuff. And the first major fighting games that I got into were King of Fighters and Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good taste.
Oh, I should add an addendum. My Blaze Blue story.
Oh, no.
So the first time I decided that I actually wanted to try to get into fighting games was with Blaze Blue Continuum Trigger, I think. Calamity Trigger for PS Vita.
Or Continuum Shift. It could be either one.
Whichever.
Continuum Shift. If it's on PS Vita, Continuum Shift.
So your first experience trying to get into fighting games was with Blaze Blue on Vita.
Yeah.
This is truly the upper echelon of...
Well, what did I know? We all have to start somewhere. You started in a barber shop. I don't want to hear it, Dan.
Yeah, playing Street Fighter 2.
Whatever. So I was told Blaze Blue was pretty fun. I didn't really know anything about it. I thought Man Edgelord or whatever the main character was. I thought he looked pretty neat. So yeah, I went and I did the tutorial in the game. And in the tutorial, there was just some shitty little girl who kept making fun of me every time I didn't do a combo right. And I finally said, you know what? Fuck you, Blaze Blue. And I quit playing it forever.
That's actually a guy.
I think it was actually on the phone with you when you were talking.
I think that's a guy, a girl, and a woman all in one body, I think, is who...
What?
You know, I don't want to talk about
Trinity.
it.
Oh, okay.
Is it Kokonoe that does it? Or not
It might-
Kokonoe, the other cat girl, the one that has like the freezing move.
Oh, yeah, you might be right. It might be either her... It might be Rachel also, so...
Anyway, that's my fighting game history in all its glory. We did play Dissidia for a while, though, but we're not talking about Dissidia today.
Should.
We'll have an episode for Dissidia, but for now, let's move on to Luke.
Also, how did I get started in fighting games?
Just give us a brief overview, because this is going to take a long
sure?
time.
I could go on.
We've only got 50 more minutes.
All right, so I started on a baseball field. Actually, my mom kept forcing me to go
fighting real people.
Yes, I threw the best fireball anyone could see.
It's a baseball. That's why you were on the baseball field.
Exactly. So, we were forced to go to my neighbor's baseball games, and he had a younger brother. They had Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and Street Fighter Third Strike for some reason, which is a rare find in just America, I think. But hey, and they just had it in Kentucky, which is surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The stream's actually been down for a while. I think, despite myself, we should try and do something about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's been up, period.
It was up at the beginning.
No one's beaming it up in the chat except for me and Anna, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say that someone just posted about a baseball, so...
Oh,
That's 'cause he's
that's
here.
Jordan.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
There we go.
Up.
Should be back up.
Okay, we're back. Cool.
Yeah, we're live.
For the sake of time and the fact that this is going to be uploaded later, let's just keep.
I hate advertisements.
I'm glad we're getting an ad on our own stream. Whatever. For the sake of time and whatnot, and because this will be posted on our YouTube, we're just going to continue on. We'll extend the podcast by 5 or so minutes to make up for it.
Oh, basically, we just did an intro real quick, everyone.
Yeah. So, Dan played in a barbershop. I hate fighting games. Benny played kind of casual, and now he plays serious. And Luke, you were talking about baseball.
Okay, so I started in a baseball field. Just the guys had those games, and they had Alien vs Predator to beat 'em up. They had
Wait, hold. How did they have them? Were they in arcade cabinets in the?
Yes, so they had the fields, and then they had this place where you could buy candy and stuff. But then they had those arcade cabinets in there that you could use for
Okay.
just whatever. And they had Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Street Fighter, and just the Alien vs Predator beat 'em up game, which I also is amazing. But anyway,
It's really fun.
so at one point my mom caught me playing Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and she immediately said no more of that one. And so it was go on to Street Fighter Third Strike. And I played a lot of game. I will be honest, I had no idea what I was doing, but Hugo, if you did a full circle, you got to grab.
Uh-huh.
So started with that generic stuff.
Turn in the butter.
Yeah, and they eventually had... Eventually, at my local bowling alley, they also had Street Fighter 2, so no matter where I went, I would be playing either Third Strike or Street Fighter 2, which was amazing. And once I learned charge characters, pretty much just went with Guile and nothing but that. And then I could keep going on forever about this. So that's where I started
Okay.
fighting games.
So in that case, because we are, for the sake of time, we're keeping this topic down to just King of Fighters and Street Fighter. Because they're both topical, they both had new releases this past year. So that's all we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about other fighting games in the future. I don't want to, but we'll do it.
So did Guilty Gear. But we're not talking about Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear also had a release this year, but we're not talking about that.
So, I think we're going to start with the big name that everybody knows. And as per the norm, I'm going to go through and I'm going to give a little bit of a history to it because I'm sure none of you have actually heard of Street Fighter.
What's that?
So, Street Fighter debuted in 1987. Street Fighter II: The World Warrior debuted in arcades in 1991, and that game is considered the kind of the golden standard that fighting games are held to. That's where you started to get the 6-button light, medium, heavy punch, light, medium, heavy kick kind of setup. That's where you started to get input-based special moves. It had a really wide cast of characters, and that's just really where it started to get defined as its own genre that had some competitive level of viability. It was designed by Akira Nishitani and Akira Yasuda, and those were the brains behind Final Fight as well, which is applicable when we talk about King of Fighters. The series primarily follows the protagonist Ryu, his rival Ken, other popular characters Chun-Li, Honda, Dan Hibiki, Cammy, and Guile, as they battle against the evil baddies like Akuma and Shadowloo, or Shadow Law, depending on who and when you ask, which is run by, in the US, M. Bison. That's not his name everywhere in the world, and I'm going to ask Luke to talk about that.
All right, so in Japan when they made the game, of course, M. Bison is the perfect play on words for Mike Tyson, which is what Boxer was. In the competitive, you have Boxer, Claw, and Dictator, which is what they go by because the names are changed everywhere. So for the sake of not getting sued in America, they made Dictator M. Bison, they made Boxer Balrog, and they made Claw Vega. And over there, it's actually Balrog is Claw, Vega is Dictator, and M. Bison is Boxer. Yeah. So it just got changed to that just for the sake of not getting sued by the actual Mike Tyson at the time. Yeah. Since that was a big time for him. Yeah.
Well, because America cares about copyright and Japan doesn't.
Yeah, and it wasn't until I think it wasn't until Turbo when Akuma was introduced, just to throw that out there too.
Well,
it was mostly... It was
you know the savant of Street Fighter that I am, Luke.
But in the original Street Fighter 2, the 4 boss characters, Bison, Balrog, Vega, and Sagat were not pickable until Turbo came out, and that's when you were able to pick the boss characters, which were... Sagat was extremely broken at the time.
Yeah. Every game's got its broken character. Everyone knows the glory of Chun-Li and Third Strike.
Oh, God.
See, I know a little bit. So the reason that we're talking about Street Fighter in particular... is because it had a new installment this year in Street Fighter V. It came out in February, so it's been a while. But because I don't think anyone cares about King of Fighters that much, we're bringing it into not Luke wants to kill me now. For the sake of having a wider audience and for talking about more stuff, we're going to talk about that as well as Street Fighter since they are both on the radar at the moment. So let's give a little bit of backstory to King of Fighters as well. That way we can move right into all of the discussion. I can stop looking at my phone. So King of Fighters is a series of fighting games developed by SNK beginning with King of Fighters 1994, and it had a new edition every year from 1994 to 2006. And then there was a big gap from 2010 to 2016. There are 20 games in the series, including all of the spin-offs and such. It combines SNK's other fighters, Fatal Fury and The Art of Fighting, follows the protagonist Kyo Kusanagi, and features other well-known characters like Terry Bogard and Joe Higashi. In 2001, SNK filed bankruptcy after having been bought out by the pachinko company Aruse. And Pachinko. That's only ever worked well. The previous year, when the future of the company was grim, some members left to join Capcom, and others founded the company Dimps, which is responsible for Sonic Unleashed, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. So thanks, kinda.
They also did all the Budokai games.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, nice.
The series was revived a week ago, was it? With
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Actually, no, it was last Tuesday. Last Tuesday.
Yeah, so not that long ago with King of Fighters 14, which was, again, it was developed by SNK still, and it was published in the US by Atlas.
This, however, is a new SNK that is owned in China.
Yes.
They just bought the name and bought the company and went with that. Also, it just besides Art of Fighting and Fatal Fury, it also has like Samurai Showdown and any SNK fighting game they brought a team from pretty much.
Because they were what, the kings of the Neo Geo arcade scene in like the late 90s?
They made a ton of fighting games in the early 90s and early 90s and like mid 90s. They made a lot of fighting games. And then they came out with the King of Fighters to pretty much combine them and like make one series instead of just doing a bunch of different fighters every year.
Do you have that picture?
So it was right when Street Fighter became popular. One of the main directors of Street Fighter 2 actually left and made King of Fighters, is what it was.
Gotcha.
And that's just how it went from there pretty much. And they make great games. Just both of them have their own styles. Street Fighter being a 6-button fighter and King of Fighters being a 4-button fighter. So both great games. I love them both, obviously.
To add real quick, I don't know if that's the same guy, but I know one of the guys left Capcom. That was the dude who was responsible for Super Dragon Ball Z, which was actually pretty popular in arcades when it came out in Japan.
Isn't that the one that's kind of like Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it had like level up trees and stuff, so like a Diablo.
So what that was you had like these like ID cards that you would put the game into, and you would level up your characters so that you would take those with you. And
that was a thing Sega was really big on in arcades.
Yeah, they have some of
Street
those.
Fighter 4 did the same thing in Japanese arcades.
Yeah, that's still a big thing in Japan, isn't it?
Yeah, they do that with Dragon Ball Heroes.
And all the like Sega racing games, like Crazy Taxi and Initial D does that.
They got a ton of those.
All right, so for this podcast in particular, our artist Anna has created a very special picture for us. Yeah, Roughhouse Lounge.
Yeah.
We're gonna be beating the piss out of each other.
That's what he said in the chat.
Well, have I got good news for you in 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I'm about to drop these assholes.
All right, so yeah, I know virtually nothing about fighting games, so I'm going to participate very minimally in this podcast, despite being your glorious, handsome host. I'm just going to go drink Dan's tap water, and I'm going to turn it over to these three gentlemen for a little while now. I will return shortly.
We have a little bit of a chair shortage.
All right,
So, fighting games.
Benny
Fighting
is
games.
going to scooch on in.
Yeah, Benny's going to scooch on in.
fighting games are,
Coffee glass.
in my opinion, the greatest game to play with people. I know MOBAs are becoming big now, but back in the day before online multiplayer was such a big deal, I thought fighting games were the best way to just, have someone come down the street, start up a game, and you're good to go. It was before even like first-person shooters had the multiplayer and stuff. It was all like beat-em-ups and fighting games originally.
Yeah.
I came from a house with a brother, so we always had to get 2-player games, which is the whole reason I play a lot of fighting games, because you know the deal, obviously, Dan, with you having a twin brother. Yeah. And it was just a lot of fighting games in the house, because that was pretty much the only thing to play. A lot of Clay Fighter 64 going around.
So here's the real question. Is your brother any good at fighting games?
My brother is terrible at fighting games, except Injustice, which he is alright at, because he thought Nightwing was so cool that he actually learned some of the game.
Nice.
Nightwing is actually the one of the few guys I use when I play Injustice. The others being Shazam and the Flash.
Yep, that's what I learned at the time, Batman and Nightwing. But that game's bad.
That's true.
Now, hold on, Luke. We haven't had a podcast long enough to develop an audience. I'd rather not alienate the 17 people who watch this.
All right, so
Gotta establish ourselves.
it's all right. It had a lot of. I'm not a fan of the patches coming out, but it was all right. But anyway, so Street Fighter V
Yeah.
is the newest installment. I think it is great. It's a lot easier than most fighting games in general. You can pretty much pick up a character in about 20 minutes, know all their moves, learn a bunch of simple combos, and you're pretty much good to go. You can learn different things like meaty setups and crush counter combos and things like that. But with the health bars being so low and a lot of the inputs just being a lot more easier to do, it just sort of works out for you. And anybody can pretty much pick it up. It's very easy, honestly. Just fun to play and very easy. It alienates some of the older players. They're not a fan of it because it causes it being so easy just lets these new people come in and be good at it. but not know fundamentals of fighting games like footsies and things like that. Footsies, meaty setups, everything that you need to pretty much, like a veteran would know.
Yeah, and all that being the case, though, a veteran coming in would still have a fairly distinct advantage knowing all of that stuff, correct?
Yeah.
For the most part, there's going to be a mid-ground where things start to plateau in a weird way. I saw a newer guy last week at the arcade beat one of our older guys, and the older guy was obviously very mad because it was more of he was just doing things that were good in 5, not things that were good in other games. He was playing Ibuki, which, I mean, right now isn't the most broken character, just really a lot of teleports, a lot of mix-ups, things like that, and it causes people to get a little angry, which it happens. From time to time, I've got mad.
That's par for the course of fighting games, though. Is like they are going to evolve, and like from game to game, it would think, despite being like in the same series, it's not really a linear progression most of the time. Like just from the little bit I've seen, Third Strike is like hardly at all comparable to 4.
Yeah, not at all. The reason that I am the biggest fan of Third Strike is because it feels like King of Fighters and Street Fighter in some anime games had like a baby, like almost like this weird awesome baby that's just amazing.
And to clarify real quick what we mean by anime fighters, because Dan and I had this talk a while ago, I thought anime fighters referred to fighting games literally featuring anime characters, and apparently that's not correct.
No.
Anime fighters are BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, in recent times Denguko Fighting Climax.
So it's a style of game rather than who's the part of the cast.
It's the style where everything looks like anime.
Like Arcana Heart, stuff like that?
Yeah, Arcana Heart.
Melty Blood.
Melty Blood. Melty Blood being the most infamous, I guess. Grand Finals in a Denny's parking lot, things like that. You can't really beat that.
So for the purposes of the fighting game players who are going to be listening to this podcast, when we say anime fighters, for anyone who isn't clear on that, that's the type of game we're referring to. Not Naruto Clash of Ninja 2. So I guess I'll just stay in my corner and have nothing to say.
A very different kind of game.
And 0 of the Tenkaichi games.
Hey, Alvino, there is a very limited depth in Tenkaichi. Just because Cell shares the same moveset with Frieza, Super Buu, Majin Buu, Frieza Soldier. Other guy.
All right. Well, I can't. Oh, jeez. But, yeah, so, I mean, I just think Third Strike is the best in my opinion, but...
And is that just because of the play style of it, or is that like the technical skill ceiling or anything like that?
It's got a lot of technical skill ceiling with parrying and just, you have to, Kara uppercuts with, like, Ken to get, like, uppercut into uppercut combos, which a Kara is very hard. If I was explaining it, it probably wouldn't make sense to anybody here, but it's just plinking a move that moves you forward into a different move, so you move forward with the move. So, like, you would move forward and do the Shoryu at the same time.
Kind of an example here, in one of the Marvel vs. Capcom, Spider-Man's got, like, a sweeping kick, and you can cancel that sweeping kick with, like, an uppercut type attack, but if you cancel it the way that Luke's describing it, Spider-Man will do the uppercut from where his feet is rather than from where Spider-Man originally was. So it kind of bumps him forward. Is that...
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's a little bit non-prevalent in versus games, which I should probably explain what versus games are. Just anything that has Marvel versus Capcom, Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Any kind of like, not any kind of cross, because that means like Smash Brothers and stuff. But...
Yeah, I mean any type of cross-fighting game, anything that's like CVS 2, CVS 1. If you ever played SVC Chaos, then I'm sorry. I love that game. It's just ridiculously insane, almost.
Yeah, I've played a very limited bit of SVC, and first of all, Gao's hair in that game is the best thing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, Gao's hair can almost just be a
table.
Yeah, you can literally just put drinks on that thing and you'll be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about my limited experience with Third Strike, because I played that casually for a little while when I bought the online edition on PS3, which I personally like a lot, and it's really cheap. If anyone listening is interested in buying that, you can get it on PSN for I didn't even pay like $5 for it, I think, when I got it. But with Luke, how I was describing the parrying, it kind of changes a lot of your basic fundamental like approaches to fighting games, because you can't just use Shoryuken to be an aerial attack. You got to worry about if they parry an attack in the air. There's all kinds of different things you got to worry about.
It gives a weird, like, almost meta game of, like, if I jump at you and I anti-air, am I going to get parried and punished for my anti-air? Mm-hmm. It enforces a lot of things where you'll just see people empty jump and nobody does anything, and then they'll throw or something. Like, it's just this weird thing. or some people will have like air-to-airs that are really hard to parry, such as like Ryu's jumping medium punch is very hard to parry in that game. So people will just kind of just throw it out and try to meet him in the air with it, just because it's a little bit difficult. If you're a Japanese player, obviously this means nothing to you because you can parry everything. But it's just certain things. It makes a weird metagame and footsies game that's really interesting. That being said, Chun-Li kind of gets rid of that instantly. She doesn't really need to do special moves. She just needs to build meter low forward into super. And with her low forward being so fast and a lot of her moves being so fast, it's very hard to parry. I.e., look at Evo Moment 37 being one of the greatest
most watched
fighting
thing ever.
That, for people who don't know, is a very good example of not only how ridiculous Chun-Li is, but also how like fundamental the parrying system is to that game.
Also, how good Daigo is.
Also,
Yeah. And to lead this conversation to discussion more fun for everyone viewing it, let's talk about Daigo for a second. Why is Daigo so important, Luke?
Daigo is I guess the first person. Oh gosh, Daigo is just.
He's very handsome, is what I know.
He's very handsome.
He's very handsome.
He's the main player. He's the beast.
Uh-huh.
He won the first, like, if you look at all his tournament wins, it's ridiculous. He was amazing at Vampire Savior back in the day.
So he's not just a Street Fighter, man. He plays a lot of...
No, he started with Street Fighter 2, and he played Vampire Savior. He still plays Street Fighter 2. He played Alpha 2, Alpha 3. Played Third Strike, obviously, from Evo Moment 37. He was amazing at 4. He was actually very good at Guilty Gear back when it first came out, which was great if you go back and watch some of his old matches. I think he has Evo wins in Guilty Gear.
Nice.
But he won the first Street Fighter 4 tournament and got second in the last Street Fighter 4 tournament, which is... I wish he could have won just to have a storyline, but he's just known as the fighting game guy. He recently has a book. He has his own manga about him, if you guys didn't know that.
Really?
I didn't know that about
Yes,
that.
he has his
No
own
idea. That sounds
manga.
amazing.
It tells a story about how he learned how to read footsies.
So when you say it's like a manga, is it like true to, or do they like extrapolate it?
It's kind of exaggerated like a manga would be. But
Like how it's like Prince of Tennis is like absurd. But
Exactly. It's almost exactly. It's exaggerated a little bit. Not like Prince of Tennis where
no,
they're doing.
Daigo doesn't kill the dinosaurs.
Yes. But like just how like everything is perceived looks exaggerated, like zoom ins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean that's just how it goes.
So maybe more comparable to Ping Pong the animation.
Pretty much, yeah, something like that.
Okay. Which is fantastic, but another day. So you used the word storylines to talk about Daigo, and I think I don't think you can talk about Street Fighter without talking about Evo and talking about the legacy and the history of it all. And that's as somebody who doesn't play fighting games in the slightest, I think it's so cool to follow, and I think it's a really interesting scene. Yeah. I watch Evo every year, like not every game, but I do watch the Street Fighter, and I do watch a little bit of the Mortal Kombat and this and that. And there is very much it's like watching reality TV. Yeah. And it's really interesting. And so when you say storylines, what do you mean by that exactly?
The storyline of being of just Daigo, because like originally in 2000, oh my gosh, it was 6 or 7, maybe it was 8 or 9. I remember somebody saying, I thought I knew Vanilla Street Fighter 4's release date, but apparently I wasn't exactly right. It was like 2007 for America.
Yeah.
I think it came out a little bit early. It definitely came out early for Japan. They were playing in arcades, which starts this whole rivalry between Japan and America because Japan always seems to have the lead. They always start off with the game way before we get it, which was recently hasn't made a big deal because all games are released worldwide at the same time now.
Yeah.
But before that was such a big problem. Even Ultra came out in Japan before it came out, like the last installment of Street Fighter 4. But Daigo won the first tournament, just being number one Daigo and knowing everything ahead of time. Like obviously, beat people like Justin Wong, stuff like that. Because Justin Wong, being an American player, had no real. He wasn't able to grab the game first. And Justin Wong being a Marvel player also. Yeah. Just kind of like, America kind of went during the dead age of fighting games between like 2002 and 2007. Went towards versus games. While Japan played a lot of older games and they got anime games started pretty much. So Daigo won Street Fighter 4 just having, I guess, all the time in Japan. And then the last tournament, as old as he is now, like almost one of the oldest in the fighting game community, got second. I was rooting for him. I was just hoping to get first just so the storyline of Street Fighter 4 being Daigo winning the first, Daigo doing all this stuff and still winning the last tournament through his age. That game's been alive for 8 years.
Yeah.
And if that man would have won that last tournament, I would have lost my mind. Kazunoko is a great player, great Japanese player, younger guy, I think. He's actually, I say younger, but he played a lot of Guilty Gear beforehand. I'm not really sure how old Kazunoko is, but it would have just been great to like see like the Street Fighter 4 storyline like that, being like this, like you said, like almost like an opera show pretty much of just like all these players being like these kind of like these characters, but just these people that have like these extravagant things with things like money matches, salty sweet.
Yeah, like the events that happen are very reminiscent of a reality TV show, and I think that's why it's so interesting because like I'm gonna talk about staged in Street Fighter, and I know what Luke wants to talk about, and we'll get to it. But yeah, like it's very much real. Like these events do happen. Like to draw a parallel, something I know a little bit more about. The Super Smash Bros. Melee storylines are very similar to that insofar as like Mango used to be the king of Evo, and now that like someone else won that this year
And last year.
I
don't really follow Melee. I just know.
Right.
I follow Melee. I just know things.
Yeah,
I don't play it that much. But
but it is interesting from just and that's why I think fighting games are so cool, for like a better word, and they're so important, I think, to the whole concept of like community-driven facets of the game community. So there are like these tournaments, all these big payouts, all these sponsorships and whatnot. We see, foreign people coming to the U.S. wearing leather jackets, just decked out in like NASCAR-style patches and all kinds of cool shit, making bunches of money just going to play video games, and that's so cool and inspiring. And Luke, you especially, like since I've known you, you're just like, I just want to play fighting games for a living. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that started like back in like almost freshman year of high school, and just it was so young at the time that like, oh my gosh, even back when I was watching him in middle school, it was like we were watching, what is it? It's like Mega Video or something. Like when you have to download the videos first, and you get it in a crappy 240p, 144p something, and it was just like. I just watched that stuff, and it was so awesome to watch, even before all the sponsors showed up. Like, they're very recent. Before Capcom Pro Tour and that stuff, I would just watch that stuff and think these guys are just, like, almost heroes to me. Now I've gone to tournaments, I've seen, like, they're just normal people that are playing video games. But, like, back when I was younger, it was, like, they were idols to me, almost.
Yeah.
But it was just, like, now with all these sponsorships and stuff, there's money, which is just amazing. That's all I've, like, would hope for, is that, like, hopefully one day I can just do nothing but play these and like not make money off of like Let's Plays and things like that, obviously, but like being a good player. Our podcast.
We're not making money, don't worry.
Yet.
Oh, you guys give me hope.
But
yeah, like I remember we were talking about this too. Like people used to like make videos of people playing, and people would go and they would study this player playing this character for hours and hours. And there's just a really particular badassness to that.
The coolest thing I will ever see is hearing the stories about people giving out DVDs of a Third Strike player named Kuroda. And he had whole DVDs of each character. Almost 2 or 3. You can look these up on YouTube. They're up there now. And you can type in Kuroda DVDs and you will find them. And you can see for every character, like, how do I play this? If you want any standard of Third Strike, you can watch that man play any character, and it's still he knows all these things of that game.
And that's such a fun kind of like grassroots, like, and I think that's another word that has to be used to describe fighting games as grassroots, because it started very small, very little money involved, very little tech and sponsorships and all this stuff. Very dirty.
Denny's parking lot.
In Denny's parking lots, and it's evolved from.
That's very recent though.
Oh yeah.
So some games have evolved, not Melty Blood. And it's when you kind of follow again the storyline of just fighting games as a medium of entertainment for the spectator, it's gone from a very small, very tight knit community to very, very big, and there's again something kind of inspiring to that.
My favorite thing to probably see is if you go back and watch Alex Valle go to Japan, a California player going to Japan to play Street Fighter Alpha 3 at the time, and Daigo being the beast. For all of you that don't know, Daigo was also kind of a giant D-bag for the longest time.
I'm sorry, Daigo. Please give us money.
I love that player. He's my favorite player of all time. But he was known as like this emotionless beast. That's why he's called the Beast.
Yeah.
He was just emotionless until when he would get mad, he would just up the game up ridiculously. Like everything would connect. And like even back to the days of like I said, Alpha 3 with Alex Valle versus Daigo being like America versus Japan, and it was just like all these awesome games that you could watch, and then you would just like now you can see it in Street Fighter 4, and it's still just something incredible. Even Alex Valle still being a top player, even though he's more of a community person since he's reached his old age, he's over 40 something now, and he's just like seeing the community evolve from all these guys just watching like just a bunch of people in tank tops and just ready to just like play video games to like how esports it is now, I guess, pretty much where
it's way more professional now, and
yeah,
again, you're seeing people like raking in money from fucking Monster and Red Bull and all these big name companies, YouPorn.
yes.
I do think this kind of actually is going to relate to Melee for a second. There was a documentary a while back about the competitive scene in Super Smash Bros. Melee, and it would show old tournament footage of like one of the big name players, Ken, like hosting tournaments at his house, and those would be like the big tournaments or like just very small setups with like just old TVs everywhere. And now they got like Evo's like a gigantic stage, like almost like a fight night wrestling type
it's
deal.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's in like honestly, it just makes me feel so good to see that like that's my thing. That's it. It's big.
And people actually care.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Street Fighter 5 this year, Top 8, was actually streamed on ESPN2.
Yeah.
And that had a whole different array of commentators, more people trying to like, make it more of a televised event than like how like we see it now.
Right.
But it was still just interesting to be like at a sporting goods store and see Street Fighter 5 on the TV. Like it's just like something
It's
like,
definitely a new chapter in video games as sports entertainment, really.
and just the competitiveness of it is just it's ridiculous how like we can now relate it to something like football or something like
now it might be a topic of discussion with people at work or your family sitting around the TV. Like there may in the very near future be people sitting around for weeks after it's aired on ESPN talking about Evo, and I something that I could like maybe share with my children in the future. I think that's really amazing to think about.
Yeah, and we don't have to be watching on DVDs and VHSs anymore.
And we don't have to go to scummy neighborhoods and potentially get robbed to find them.
Man, when you mentioned him earlier, I went to Luke's house once to play Third Strike, and I was like, man, I was watching this videos of this guy named Kuroda. Have you heard of him?
You ever heard of this gentleman, Kuroda? Now, we're getting a little bit short on time, so I do want to finish off talking about Street Fighter in particular with this event that I brought up very briefly. So, Luke, how do you feel about the match between Daigo Umehara and one Mr. Lupe Fiasco?
Gosh, I was not told beforehand that this would be a...
So let me preface.
It was controversial stuff.
It was a big fiasco.
It was, so to speak. So Lupe Fiasco is a songwriter. We'll say
a rapper.
He's a rapper. He's a pretty popular rapper. He's pretty well known. And he's a big fan of Street Fighter. And I don't know what led to this happening where he had a money match with Daigo Umehara, and it sparked a lot of controversy in the community.
There's a lot of things we're unsure of with this. So these are my opinions in my opinion zone.
They don't reflect Respawn Lounge and its affiliates.
I mean, I'm just... There's a lot of controversy. Like I know people, if like you play fighting games and you're gonna hear me say R Kappa, which is it's almost the...
It's porn. Stay away.
That too. But like it just felt like it was almost rigged because Daigo Umehara, the #1 fighting game player, lost to a rapper who says he's been playing for a long time, but when you watched, he clearly wasn't like that ridiculous. He wasn't anti-airing all the time. He wasn't doing a lot of stuff that just fighting game players would know. And he won, and when he won, Daigo was still sitting down waiting to play more. It seemed like Daigo really didn't know what the first two was. Like he was trying to like make it more of a public event for the community, and it just looked like there was a lot of confusion in it. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Because if I start calling things out, it could go any which way.
Yeah, we don't want to get beat up by Lupe Fiasco in school.
Real quick, my thoughts on it. I kind of took it as them. Because Luke mentioned earlier that Street Fighter V was made a lot more accessible. I think if it was staged, they might have been trying to capture that demographic of, man, if that guy can be the big champion Daigo Umehara, then I can get good at this game.
Oh, it was definitely a PR stunt in some capacity. Rigged or no, it was set up for publicity, and that's fine. But
and I mean Street Fighter 5 wasn't even out yet at the time too, so it was something to watch with gameplay wise.
yeah,
I didn't
and
watch
that's
until
fine.
later.
You know, celebrity endorsement, that's part of PR. Showcasing at live events, that's part of it. It was a good marketing idea. It just seems that the way it was handled, if it was rigged on purpose, it didn't slip by unnoticed. And it was just a questionable situation. But fact of the matter is, we're here now. We have Street Fighter 5, and at least 2 people think it's a good game. So,
yeah.
moving on, we're going to talk about some King of Fighters now.
Ayo.
Which I don't even know any of their names. I have literally nothing to contribute. So take the stage, everyone else.
All right. So I guess the real thing that we should talk about is the comparison of Street Fighter V's launch to King of Fighters 14 launch.
Oh yeah.
Street Fighter 5, people will even agree with me now, and I sometimes agree with it. Sometimes I don't. It depends on the day of how I feel I'm playing in Street Fighter 5. Which a lot of people who are calling out Street Fighter 5 are honestly just mad sometimes that they did bad in the game for something that new players learned. Like, a lot of people feel entitled to how long they've played, which just gets people angrier. And since the game is easier, that it's just become a problem. A lot of problems I have with Street Fighter 5 are only the fact of things like 8 frames of lag, stuff like that, stuff that shouldn't be in the game. Just It feels like, as people have made the joke, it is the actual Street Fighter Alpha. We're playing the alpha version of Street Fighter 5. But King of Fighters 14 released with, it feels like universally no lag. Obviously, it's usually 3 frames, 4 frames. Street Fighter 4 on Xbox was 3 frames. Something like that. Something that's a little bit more manageable. The netcode was alright for me the first day. However, I have realized that the netcode was terrible. I just got lucky and played people nearby. So,
But I did see today that they are working on or released a patch for it.
They released the patch today, actually, and it was supposedly improved the netcode. Apparently, it's pretty good right now. Some people still run into problems with certain things, different things like, I'm not 100% sure. There was a glitch where you could pick 3 of the same character. For those of you that don't know, King of Fighters, you have to pick 3 characters on your team, and some people found stuff where you could pick 3 characters entirely.
You have to pick 3 different characters.
Yeah, 3 different characters, 3 same characters. So everyone having like Benny Mario on their team, or a character like Iori who can do good in any position. So King of Fighters, I felt, had more of a successful launch. We had story on the first day. We didn't have to wait like 2 months. We have 50 characters, I think.
A lot.
A lot of characters. It's like 50. I remember a while back they said they're going to launch with like 60 characters, but I know that number got toned down a little bit. And I bought it first day of release, and I've had a huge amount of fun with it. It's not as hard as King of Fighters 13, which is great, because that game was really ridiculous with HD combos and things like that. But it's almost just like King of Fighters 2002. It may have like an ugly look to it.
A little bit. Looks like a PS2 game.
Kinda, a little bit. But
okay, it looks like late 360.
I think early 360, but like, I don't know if I think it's bad by today's standards, but I don't know if I call it bad. Like, I think it's okay.
It's still fine.
Yeah, for me, a lot of fighting games is the style of it. That's a lot of what keeps me encroached in and keeps me interested. That's a lot of what makes it a fun spectator sport. So graphics do play a fairly significant part in fighting games. I mean, they're, mechanically that's far more important, is to make sure, inputs read, make sure netcode's good. But yeah, I do see why people are miffed about the graphics.
So, and the thing with King of Fighters 14 is that I think it's released to see if people are still interested in the series itself.
Right. We can't forget that it did have like a pretty long hiatus. It is owned by a different company now.
6-year gap, I think, is what it was. 2010 to 2016.
Yeah.
2010 being King of Fighters 13, which was still 2D, but these high-res 2D, it was almost ridiculous.
Yeah.
It looked perfect. And, I mean, I think they're trying to, like, mix it up a little bit, see what people would... just test out the 3D, because everything almost is in 3D now. Even Guilty Gear, like, the 2D game is 3D. I mean, Blaze Blue, a game like that, however, looks really nice, but, like, even me going back and playing it today, it feels weird sometimes to see 2D, even though that's all I play was 2D games, but now it's like 2D sprites now get so HD that it doesn't really change anything. So I guess they were just trying to see how far they could go. And they're trying to see how the game does, honestly. It's just, King of Fighters has been a harder game to get into because of, like, the harder combos, things like that. Especially with 13 being very, very hard, I feel like, for, like HD combos being ridiculously long. You have to almost write 3 lines of fucking inputs just to get it going, and it was just it was something else. But with 14, it's a lot easier. It's like 2002. It's about getting confirms, getting like footsies, whiff punishing, things like that, and like just always getting your punishes down to be the like most they can be. I mean, a lot of characters can cancel sweep into safe things for the most part. Usually, if they can cancel sweep into something, like they are canceling it into something that's also unsafe, or that there's a gap in between those. But it's just things that you get to learn in that game. That like, since you do have to learn 3 characters, things like that, you're going to be testing out everybody, and you kind of just learn the game as it goes. While Street Fighter, you can pretty much stick to your character, and you're good. You just have to like learn other characters as you fight them.
Yeah.
And with 5 only releasing with like 16 characters, like I said, compared to like the 50 characters King of Fighters had. Now we already have DLC where we're paying $25 for 6 characters. We still don't know where the 6 characters at. He's supposed to come out at the beginning of September, end of August, and that hasn't happened. So it's just King of Fighters looks more successful, but Street Fighter is still Street Fighter. It's the original, like everyone's going to be playing that, and King of Fighters just. It was impossible for me to find in Kentucky. I had to digitally download it because I called so many places in northern Kentucky and nobody had it on release date. So I had to digitally buy it just so I could get it on the day that it released and get some practice in before I went to the arcades and tournaments and things like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just Street Fighter is Street Fighter. It'll always be more successful. In America, it's mostly Mortal Kombat, Injustice, things made by NetherRealm that are going to be more successful.
Yeah.
Just because they are the American games, especially Mortal Kombat having like a long list of fatalities, stuff like that made them controversial, which got more kids to play it because they're like, I want to play the game of blood.
Yeah.
And I think, talking about what you said with how comparing the cast with Street Fighter and King of Fighters, I feel like even though Street Fighter's cast is severely less, that I feel like they put more personal touches onto the characters with the V skills and the V triggers. A lot of King of Fighters gameplay, at least to me, feels it's very kind of rushdown oriented. A lot of characters kind of seem to play similarly, but I really like that with Street Fighter V. Like even just Ken and Ryu are feeling more vastly different than how they used to feel.
Yeah, I'd say even now being the most difference with them having V trigger and Ken's more going up in an up, like almost a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 style where it goes up in a diagonal instead of like just going straight across with like 6 hits. Like Ken still being the flasher of both of them, obviously, and Ryu being the more patient of them. And it's just, even with King of Fighters, there are a lot of like Rekka characters that are in the game and things like that. Like, and I mean, everyone can make fun of King of Dinosaurs having almost Zangief's exact normals, but Tizak had those first. I'm just saying. Zangief did have them first with Street Fighter 2 probably, but Tizak also had those. So, just saying. This could go either way.
At least he copied him a long time ago.
Yeah, it was just nobody, I guess, noticed as much.
I feel like the both series kind of tend to copy each other. Like Ryo from King of Fighters being a parody, I would call almost, of Ryu from Street Fighter, or Ken, depending on how you look at it.
He's actually, Robert is almost a copy of Ken, while Ryo is almost a copy of Ryu, pretty much. And then Yuri is almost Akuma, the little girl with the demon flip into dive kick. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy, but the game is, like you said, a lot more rushed down. That's the point, is to always have buttons out, like throwing fireballs, doing like super short hops backwards and like CDs, things like that. Just because you're supposed to be doing a lot more buttons. A lot more buttons are safe. Some sweeps are safe. It's just a lot different of a game, which, I mean, it has its place. It's still got a lot of footsies and things like that. But it's like a good medium between the both without having to only focus on footsies like Street Fighter V almost does. Yeah. And Street Fighter 2 pretty much is only footsies. And it's just like, it's a good mix of just having Rushdown and both to like mix them in.
And I think it's interesting how both Street Fighter V and King of Fighters 14 are both very fast-paced games, but in different ways. Where Street Fighter V, it's got the big damaging punishes, it's more on substance rather than flash, for lack of a better term. And King of Fighters has the longer going combos, but the matches feel more fast paced. People are moving a lot more. The team mechanic, I feel, kind of adds I don't know how to put this other than like, it's a nice different take on like the rounds, like round 1 or round 2. Because also you have to worry about like if your main guy can last through these matches. and you get a little bit of health back at the end of each match. But if your best guys on like even earlier when we were playing King of Fighters 2002, and I took like 2 of your guys and then got my ass whooped by your Kim, like all 3 guys just gone.
Yeah, it's interesting because you also have to position King of Fighters characters. One thing I will say about both is that they've both also gone back to their roots pretty much. Street Fighter V, obviously, matches are a lot faster. It's a lot more like I want to say it's a lot more like Street Fighter 2. It kind of isn't, kind of is. Just with the things doing so much damage and just being gone, but not based off of can you do the input like Street Fighter 2 was almost, where fireballs did a ridiculous amount of damage in 2 and stuff like that. But with like King of Fighters, your tactic for your team is your last character can have a max of 5 bars, while your first character can have a max of 3, your second character can have a max of 4. And your first character obviously starts with no meter, while you can build meter so your other characters have meter when they go in. So like a character like King of Dinosaurs is very dependent on meters to do anything, being like almost an S tier character, but with the most faults I've felt in the game. He just has an amazing short into a super, and like he needs that. It's almost Chun-Li's low forward into super. It's kind of ridiculous sometimes. As if a person like Sako is playing King of Dinosaurs, that says something about that. You guys might not know who he is, but he always picks the cheap characters in games, and he picked King of Dinosaurs out of most of the characters, so there's something there. But the games are definitely different, but they're just people that prefer one or the other, and having them both go back to like the original way helps a lot. I still probably prefer Street Fighter over anything, just because I can always play Guile. He's always going to be the same. They're just going to have different frame data and differences with his fireballs, especially now. They're not like... His fireballs aren't always safe like they were, but they're +1 on block, things like that. It's just...
And that is part of the community, too, is a lot of players get very attached to particular characters. Like, even the very brief amount of time that I've spent playing Street Fighter V with Luke, I've already, like, found a couple of characters that I'm like, yeah, that's... If I were to play, that's who I would play. I like that character. In my case, I really like Karen. I just don't know why. I just kind of decided that. But yeah, like every fighting game I play, I see a character and I'm just like, yeah, that one. That's the one I like.
And with Street Fighter in particular, sorry if I interrupted Luke, I think it's kind of interesting how they can keep these characters and have these same moves, but at the same time add tiny things to like mix up their game. Mm-hmm. Like Ryu in particular, with how earlier we mentioned the V skills and the V triggers. Ryu's V skill is a parry similar to the one in Third Strike. Not exactly the same. There are some differences. But it adds a whole new level of game to Ryu when he's known as just fireball, spin, kick, and uppercut.
Yeah, Ryu is the white bread of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just how he's always been. And even now with having his parry back, it's a lot riskier because you can whiff a parry and get crush countered for it, which is nothing like in Third Strike, where there really was no risk to parrying, except if you messed up parry, you were definitely getting hit because you hit forward.
Yeah.
You weren't holding back.
Now, I've not played a terrible out of third, but you also have to worry about doing a crouching parry to hit low attacks. It's not like 5 where just a parry hits... It covers all your bases.
Yeah, it covers everything from...
Since it's a button input
I mean, it's still forward or down for Third Strike, but it's just you parry. And you don't have an air parry for you, obviously, because that would be awesome.
So we're getting towards the end of this podcast. Do we have any closing statements on either series? Actually, before that, how do you feel about... Because you said they were like kind of getting back to their roots a little bit. How do you think that is the correct direction for them to go?
I think it is, as long as they... I'm hoping that they don't go to esports, is my thing. I don't want to see MOBA rotation heroes. I don't want to see anything that happen. Especially with how fighting games are... It's almost going to a weird dark age again, where we're kind of getting a lot of them. But we're getting these weird ones that are like $15. Like I said, Denguko Bunkai Fighting Climax.
Yeah, and we've gotten Skullgirls recently, Rivals Panther, if you can compare that.
Things like that, which is just going into this weird like sub-meta, while these top fighting games are just going to be the top fighting games. We've pretty much found the three being King of Fighters, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat, and obviously if we get another Marvel vs. Capcom, that will stay up there.
Praise to the gods.
Oh God, please.
So generally we're feeling kind of positive about the most recent, the new King of Fighters, the new Street Fighter. Fighting games overall remains to be seen. We'll see. I guess let's finish off our discussion on fighting games and find out who everyone's favorite characters are from these respective series. So, for the sake of time, we'll go series-wide. Luke, who is your favorite any Street Fighter
Can I
character?
go last?
Sure. Dan, who is your favorite any Street Fighter character?
Any Street Fighter character. That's a tough choice. I think I might have to go Elena.
Elena? Okay. Why is that? Just played her a lot?
Healing.
Not healing.
Healing.
I never use healing. I played her in well, actually, yeah, she has healing in Third Strike, but I never use healing in Third Strike or in 4 because I'm not cheap like that. I just really like I like Elena's design. I think she's really fun to play.
He's all about them capoeira fighters.
Yeah, capoeira is cool.
The worst. But yeah, you know what?
Gotta feel the beats in your head.
Yeah. All right, Casey.
Okay. All of Street Fighter. I said that I use Karen in Street Fighter V, but that was before Jury came out. I don't know why. I really like Jury. I think it's because she's a JoJo character.
Did you touch her in 4 at all?
No, I played Makoto the 3 times I played.
She's honestly vastly different than 4, so it doesn't really matter. Honestly, she doesn't have a bunch of her stuff she had in 4, but it's a lot different of a character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just the very brief amount of Jury that I've seen throughout the series, and my perspective of Street Fighter comes more from movies and watching people play and stuff like that. I just think Jury's a super cool character.
My favorite Street Fighter character, and a lot of my friends watching the stream or here right now would probably know that it's Alex from Street Fighter 3. He's almost terrible in a lot of the games he's in, but
He's so cool.
I like that he's kind of like a mix of all the play styles. He teaches you the basics of charge. He teaches you somewhat about grappling. He doesn't have any, except for his super, he doesn't have any full 360s or 720s. He's got basic motion inputs. He's big, he's muscular, he's angry.
he's Hulk Hogan.
He's Hulk Hogan. You can't escape everything. I love everything about him. I like his shirt tearing off intro. I like his Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
I like in
with Hugo?
Street Fighter V, he's in the background fixing his car.
Yes.
Yes, and now in Street Fighter 5, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
Go ahead.
And from a lore standpoint, at least shown in the comics and stuff, Alex is a character that represents potential and growing. Characters in 5 comment on how Alex has the potential to be one of the greatest fighters there is. Even, you might have to correct me on this because I think you know more about the lore than I do.
He was supposed to be the Ryu of Third Strike.
Yeah, he was supposed to be...
Of the Third Strike series, my bad.
He was
Street Fighter 3 series.
Hence why the first Street Fighter game was called The New Generation. And the villain of the Street Fighter 3 games, Gil, wanted to make Alex his disciple. And I think that was even shown in one of the game's endings, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, if you beat it as Gil, there's an ending where everyone's blue and red.
Yes.
Like Gil, and one of them, it's just... Alex's ending is actually him getting beat by Ryu, even though he beat Gil being the strongest person ever.
Mhm.
And he got beat by Ryu, and now all he wants to do is beat Ryu. And even in 5, if you played through the story mode, spoilers alert, because...
Well, it's a fighting game, who cares?
The story mode just came out in June, but in Street Fighter V, Gil is like, this is not the person we expected to do this. It was supposed to be him, and he turns around, and it's Alex, blue and red with angel wings, and it's pretty sick.
From a story standpoint, I'm not going to go into detail because I already went into detail with Alex. Story standpoint, my favorite character is Charlie Nash, just because he looks awesome. He is
a
awesome.
zombie.
Well, yeah. He's part 12, so...
Oh, is he?
Yes.
I had no idea. That's really cool.
He's really weird. In 5.
Yeah, and 5.
In
Anyway.
5.
By 12, we don't mean the number 12. We
Like,
mean
it's
the
a
character
character.
12.
He's like built to pieces, like how Urian has the dot that makes him stronger. It's like something like that.
Though, from a gameplay standpoint, I'm waiting to see Urian in 5, but from what I've played of him is in the short period of the story mode, Urian's looking awesome.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And with that, I think is a proper transition to Luke.
That is a loaded question, man.
Yeah, is it?
That's a loaded question. When I started, it was definitely Ken, because he's a cool guy. He's cool American.
He's cool. He's
an
blonde.
American.
He looks like Dio in 5.
Exactly. Oh, God, ugly Dio. And then it went on to Ryu, because I just thought Ryu was awesome, like, around my, introduction to anime crap time, where it was just so cool. But Guile is definitely the number 1 character in all of Street Fighter.
Yeah,
He
not
is the
Urian?
He is the American. Woo!
Okay. And
Yeah.
speaking of Guile, it was brought to my attention this past summer that the American flags on his arms are not tattoos; those are birthmarks, and I think that's incredible.
And as a kid that watched movies, Jean-Claude Van Damme is Guile. So you
literally
100%.
is Guile.
100%.
And just charge characters are a wall, and that's a lot of fun for me to play sometimes. So
Yeah, especially in the 3DS port.
let's not
talk about that.
Guile number 1, where you don't have to do charge moves and you just press a button and he does a sonic boom. You can walk forward, flash kick.
Oh my god.
I want to add, Street Fighter 4 3D was one of the first Street Fighters that I actually put the time into it, like a little bit just after high school. So it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with 4 in general. But also, I thought, man, Guile's got to be like the best character in this whole series.
But Guile is the best.
Apparently he is. And I gotta say though, so our favorite characters are Elena, Jury, Alex, and Guile. I'm very disappointed in us. Not a one of us said Rashid of the Turbulent Winds.
Oh,
Rashid's great.
I like
Rashid
Rashid because he's Middle Eastern Gizmo from Teen Titans.
and
Yeah.
he is the main character of Street Fighter 5's story. 100%.
Which it's kind of, I want to say it's kind of disappointing because I thought in the prologue, before Street Fighter V released the cinematic full story mode, they had these prologue chapters, and I thought they were going to build up to Charlie Nash being the main character of 5, and they didn't, and they also didn't do jack shit.
I mean, on the Kali? Yeah, no, they didn't do anything. But just heads up, everyone, you can sign a petition to change the American National Anthem to Guile's theme. I just want everyone to know that.
And that will definitely happen.
And that will
100%.
100% happen.
Dan, you got to get that playing before the stream is over.
Get the the Rishido theme.
No, the Guile
Guile's
theme.
theme.
Oh yeah.
The best
We'll
theme
do
that
both.
exists.
We'll play them both.
At the same time.
It's just overlapping, yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'd say that's about it. We've been here for just over an hour now talking. So yeah, let's talk about next week. Thanks again for being on, guys. They'll be back for sure.
No problem. Follow me at HIPX5 on Twitter and HIPX55 on Twitch, where I sometimes stream Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do
I'm
either
gonna
of
do a
those.
selfless plug.
I don't do either of those. Go watch Luke's stuff. Yeah, have fun.
Yeah. So what's on our itinerary next week, Dan?
So next week is game design fallacies.
Yes.
So-
we're going to be talking about the likes of regenerating health, game tutorials, limited lives, quick time events, things that are like kind of panned by the gaming community these days. Things that we don't, some people don't really think are necessary. We're going to kind of look at those, see where they came from, see how they got here, are they still necessary, and what they offer to video games. So the games that we're going to make each other play. Let's start with you, Dan.
So I'm making Casey play Metro 2033.
Yes. And what does that have to do with game design fallacies?
Metro 2033. Well, actually, should I go ahead and say what my opinions are with?
No.
Okay. So Metro 2033 is a game that has regenerating health.
Yes. So I'm going to play that, and I'm going to use that game as kind of my baseline for understanding if regenerating health is good, bad, indifferent. We'll find out. The game that I'm going to make Dan play, not for the first time, I believe, is Resident Evil 4. And that's because there are several scenes in that game that include QuickTime events.
Many quick time
Several,
events.
lots, plenty of them.
A whole lot.
So yeah, we're gonna play these games. I actually have some experience with Metro as well. So this is gonna be a little bit more of a retrospective. We're gonna talk about a lot of games that we've already played, and we're gonna talk about if these are actually good parts of video games or if they need to be removed forever. And on that cast, which is going to be a week from today on September 8th, we're going to have our good old buddy, old pal, Matthew Steinhauer on to talk about this. This podcast was actually his idea, or this episode, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've got our Twitter. It's respawn_lounge. You see us here on Twitch. Give us a follow if you feel so inclined. We will have this up on YouTube, hopefully closer to the day of broadcasting than the previous episode was. That is on YouTube now, too. You can subscribe to us there if you want to keep up. So yeah, I think that's all we've got this week. You all take care. We'll be back.
And to play you out.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I love you.
Good night.